Welcome to Women at Halftime podcast, but not just for women, for you men too. If you're at mid-career or the halftime of life, our inspirational topics are not only fun, but also meant to help you maximize and write your next chapter. Right here with me, Deborah Johnson. Well, hello, this is Deborah Johnson with you today with the Women at Halftime podcast. It's so wonderful to be hosting yet another episode, another show. And today's topic, no filters, just you. And it's a very personal message to you today, and I hope you really enjoy it. I do want to remind you that we have a newsletter that comes out with our article every single week. Make sure you get it, goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter. And it lets you know, of course, the article and other things that we have. We have a lot of product. We've got a lot of free things that we give away as well, and a lot of music. So make sure that you get that. And today's subject, I thought it would be a very interesting one because we have a world full of filters these days. And I thought it'd be interesting just to approach this subject. So I hope you enjoy. In the past decades, we wouldn't consider most professional photos without some sort of touching up or with no filters taken on a camera. And going back to the 1800s, photographers and artists, they would hand color monochrome photos. I have one of these of myself, my mom had done. And this process lasted through mid-19th century. And as technology developed, changes could be airbrushed, taking away blemishes, modifying colors, and even changing body shapes. And the process was still done by artists or photographers for magazines and other types of media. And a lot of times we would compare ourselves to those touched up photos. And today, this process has been transformed to most anyone who has a phone or a computer. And photos with no filters are posted millions of times a day all over the world. But there are many that are also posted with filters that can change hair color, complexions, add makeup, and transform a person taking a selfie in the backyard to a remote location around the world. And filters can also greatly distort a photo. And this really makes us wonder what's really real. And now let's enter into artificial intelligence, AI, with the ability to generate realistic fake video and other media, and life becomes even more complicated in many ways. So here I want to focus on how living with no filters embraces a genuine and unvarnished approach to various aspects of life, though there should be some boundaries, and we will touch on some of those. So today we'll talk about communication, self-expression, decision-making, relationships, and personal growth. Communication. All of us probably have someone in our life that speaks with no filters. Many people, as they age, they care less about what people think and freely give their opinions about everything from cooking to business to politics. And now I know you know someone like this. They don't even think about the fact that living with no filters in communication involves expressing your thoughts, feelings, and opinions honestly and directly. The no filters approach doesn't include sugarcoating or manipulating your words merely to appease others. Now, this type of communication can seem abrupt and unkind, though we are usually forgiving of those older folks who have suddenly become much more opinionated. But it's a lot harder with a friend. I have one of those people in my life. So at this point, I just smile and nod my head and move the conversation forward. However, I do appreciate this person's honesty and ability to verbalize opinions easily. There is no question about who she is and what she stands for. And this is true authenticity. And I've actually worked to apply more of that even in my own life. Let's move along to self-expression. When I think of self-expression, I always think about the tie-dye shirts of the 1970s. Shirts were accompanied by long, straight hair. I had it. And even, I didn't do this, smoking the drug of your choice. Especially, we can see this at Woodstock. It was the music and art fair held in 1969, and it attracted more than 400,000 attendees and became a defining event for the counterculture, the anti-establishment generation. And tie-dye shirts have now come back in popularity, and the drugs of choice have now expanded, and parents are wondering if it's worth even trying to explain the culture of the 1970s to their children, as it may seem mild today. A no filters approach of self-expression allows one to express themselves without fear of judgment. So quirkiness, passions, and even vulnerabilities are shared openly. And we presently have free speech in America, and it's come to the forefront in recent years with political agendas and blame, with restrictions on what's called a misinformation, which has really limited some of the self-expression. Also, some of which has been labeled self-expression has gone way beyond. So it's gone to protesting and speeches. It's expanded to riots and destructiveness. And this is not healthy self-expression, but anger and agendas carried out in an unhealthy manner. To express oneself with no filters at least involves considering the feelings of others and communicating in a way that makes sense and understood. Decision-making. Many of us have a difficult time making some small personal decisions that can be as simple as what to make for dinner, or more involved as where to go on vacation. Now, I respect those who are able to make decisions quickly based on their goals and their core values. But it can also sound too abrasive if it's spouted off too quickly. When I ask my husband where he'd like to go to dinner, after some back and forth, we usually decide on the same place, which is our regular little local Mexican restaurant, which I had in mind the whole time anyway. Well, what helps in a no filters approach in decision making is the ability to filter out impulsive or rash choices, to make well-considered choices and judgments. The dinner example and even the vacation example seems minor next to huge business decisions on marketing budget and product development. But keeping the main thing with our mission and purpose based on our core values, it helps tremendously. I talk about this quite a bit in my book, Stop Circling. There's a whole chapter on core values. Make sure you check that out. Relationships. There is probably no better illustration of healthy use of no filters in relationships as marriage. Honesty and transparency, along with commitment, are important in building trust within a marriage. Now, this doesn't mean we communicate every thought that comes in our head. My poor husband would never get anything done with the amount of words that could be expressed. As many realize, most women have many more words to express than men. Now, I realize this sometimes over our morning cappuccinos together when I have expounded on a subject and I realize he's not said a word for about 5 minutes. And I look at him and think, oh, do you have something to say? However, the wise spouse also holds back in what not to say. A journal comes in handy for this, with writing down thoughts and feelings to be able to express them in a healthy manner. Very important. And this also applies to colleagues and managers. We want honesty and transparency, but also wisdom and how and what to say at the appropriate time. That could be one of the best things you could take away today for your marriage, if you are married. Personal growth. This is an area where most of us need filters. Filtering out distractions, unproductive habits, irrelevant information, and time-wasting events. And saying no in certain areas helps us to say yes to a better choice. It's hard to do. Growing personally is a choice. Now, we can stay stuck, circling in the same spot, or choose to filter out activities and areas of our lives that will grant us more energy and more effectiveness for our future. Time is one of our most valuable resources, so we need to use it wisely. Deciding to grow may involve signing up for an online course, taking a community class, or implementing a new healthy exercise routine. And it's never easy to start, as there are usually a million excuses that get in the way. But choosing to grow as a lifelong learner at any stage of life is one of the best choices we can make. It will keep our mind sharp, very important. It will help us ride the wave of changes in our world, and it'll even provide more energy. Ultimately, having some sort of boundaries in all of these areas is healthy, and it will impact our overall well-being. So let's apply this just with a couple points here. Review your core values and be able to verbalize them in a clear yet non-abrasive way. And again, refer to my book, Stop Circling, for this if you need that. Review your mission and purpose statement to keep the main thing in your life and business. I cover that in the book as well. Take advantage of using a journal. This will help you put your thoughts down on paper to express more fully later. And regularly evaluate your activities, your work, and your responsibilities, for time is our most valuable resource to filter out the unnecessary. So we've talked today about no filters with communication, self-expression, decision-making, relationships, and personal growth. All of those are important, and all of them need some sort of boundaries. Now, I'm not going to go back to the 1970s with looking at the Woodstock era, and I remember those, all the tie-dye and all of that happening. And it's gone so far beyond that now. So really evaluate where you are at with your no filters, and using the certain number of filters to be just you, to be authentically you. And there's nothing more beautiful than that. And I hope this has encouraged you in some way. I hope you take advantage of the resources that we give. Usually with the articles, also I either put additional book resources down at the end of the article, or articles that you can also refer to, and a lot of free downloads as well, and free products. So make sure you take advantage of that. Sign up for our newsletter, goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter. You can also reach me at Deborah Johnson Speaker. I take a certain number of live events. I do virtual as well. And also DJ Works Music. Have a lot of music, especially through the holidays. So look at the newsletter, look online. We're on social media everywhere, and you can see some of those postings. So I hope you join me in other places, and I look forward to being with you again next time. So bye-bye for now.
Thank you for joining us. It is because of our wonderful listeners like you that we keep going strong week after week. We'd love it if you'd share and follow us to not miss a single show, and even write a review. You can also find all of our articles, products, and links at womenathalftime.com.